Broncos country, get your hearts ready because something just happened that's going to completely change the future of our Nick Bonitto. You won't believe what went down in the last few hours in the NFL. Micah Parsons, that pass rush monster we've always admired from afar, just signed the biggest contract for a non-quarterback player in the league. And guess what? This could mean a fortune for our favorite linebacker here in Denver. Family, are you prepared to find out how this bomb that exploded in Green Bay can completely transform Bonitto's negotiations with the Broncos organization? Because I'm going to tell you. What happened yesterday is going to make the team executives' heads spin more than a running back escaping a tackle. Folks, let's first understand what exactly went down. Micah Parsons was traded by the Cowboys to the Packers and agreed to a record contract for a non-quarterback with Green Bay. And when? I say record, family, it's a record for real. We're talking about an average of $47 million per year. Can you guys grasp that? $47 million per season. To put it in perspective, that's more money than many starting quarterbacks make in the league. Parsons literally broke this salary ceiling for pass rushers and completely redefined the market. But hold on, Broncos country, because here comes the part that really matters to us. This massive Parsons deal didn't happen in a vacuum. It created a wave that's going to directly impact the contract talks happening right here in our backyard. Nick Bonitto, our young pass rush talent, was already in negotiations for a contract extension with the Broncos. And now with Parsons establishing this new insane level in the market, things got much more interesting for Bonitto's side. Let's get to the numbers, family. Parsons is an elite pass rusher in the NFL. He has 52.5 sacks in his first 4 years. In the NFL, 4 seasons, 52.5 sacks. That's an average of more than 13 sacks per year. The guy is a quarterback pressuring machine. And Bonitto, our linebacker, is coming on strong too. At 25 years old, he's already been selected to the Pro Bowl once and has 23 career sacks. Sure, those are smaller numbers than Parsons, but let's be realistic here. Bonitto is still growing and showing tremendous potential. Now comes the question that won't go away, Broncos country. How does this directly impact our situation here? In Denver, first point, and this is crucial, the asking price for Nick Bonitto probably went up overnight. When a player at the position signs for $47 million annually, that automatically raises expectations for all other pass rushers seeking contract extensions. More deals surpassing $40 million per year should emerge once T.J. Watt, Micah Parsons, and Aiden Hutchinson get renewed. That's the market reality now. Parsons opened the floodgates, and now other elite players are going to want to follow the same path. Bonitto won't demand a record contract like Parsons. Let's be fair in the comparison. But the pass rusher market redefinition that Parsons created is definitely good news for any edge defender seeking a new deal. Second important point, this puts pressure on the Broncos to act quickly. Bonitto said last month that the pass rush market is in his favor after T.J. Watt of the Steelers signed a record extension in free agency. Now, with Parsons establishing this new ceiling, Bonitto has even more negotiating power. The Broncos front office now needs to make a strategic decision. Do they want to keep Bonitto wearing orange and blue? Then they better move before other teams start making offers that will be hard to refuse. Family, let's talk concrete numbers here. Bonitto is eyeing an extension that exceeds $20 million per year. Before the Parsons bomb, that already seemed like a fair value for a linebacker with our guy's potential, but now, with the market being redefined this drastically, those $20 million might even seem conservative. Bonitto is going to cost around $25 million per year. That could be the new reality the Broncos will have to face. And check out something interesting. Broncos country. Bonitto has averaged more sacks per snap since 2023 than T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, or Danielle Hunter. That's right, you heard it. Our linebacker is being more efficient than some of the biggest names in pass rush in the league. If the numbers don't lie, then Bonitto deserves to be paid like one of the best at the position. And with Parsons establishing this new standard of $47 million, the bill is going to get steeper for any team wanting to keep their elite pass rushers. So, real Broncos country, are you following all this crazy NFL market movement? If you want to stay on top of all the news, rumors, and analysis about our beloved team, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because here we don't let anything pass that could impact the Broncos' future. Now, let's analyze the possible scenarios the Broncos front office is facing after this Parsons bomb. Scenario 1. The Broncos decide to pay the price Bonitto is going to ask. That probably means something between $25 to $30 million per year, considering the new level established by the market. It's heavy money, but keeping a young and rising pass rusher could be fundamental for the team's defensive ambitions. Scenario 2. The organization thinks the price got too high and decides to let Bonitto test the market. If the Broncos don't pay, another NFL team will pay. That's the harsh reality executives will have to swallow. Scenario 3. The Broncos try a creative negotiation, maybe with performance incentives or a payment structure that helps with the salary cap. But even so, the base value will probably have to go up because of the new market standard. What do you think, family? Which scenario makes more sense for the Broncos situation? Because one thing is certain, doing nothing is not a viable option. Broncos country, let's talk seriously about what losing or keeping Bonitto means for our defense. Our defensive system has worked very well with Bonitto, yes, as one of the main pass rush weapons. Bonitto brought down the quarterback 13.5 times in 2024, 1.5 times more than in previous seasons. The guy is evolving every year. If the Broncos lose Bonitto for financial reasons, they'll have to find a replacement in the draft or via free agency. And guess what? With Parsons redefining the market, any decent pass rusher is going to get more expensive too. On the other hand, if the organization manages to keep Bonitto, even paying a higher value, they guarantee continuity in a crucial position. Quality pass rushers don't grow on trees, and developing another player from scratch can take years. Quarterback pressure is fundamental in modern football. Teams that can't get to the opposing QB struggle much more to stop explosive offenses. Bonitto represents that pressure-creating ability that's essential for defensive success. Family, let's look at how other teams in the league are dealing with this pass rusher contract situation. The Packers just showed they're willing to pay the price to have true elite pass rush. They didn't hesitate to give $47 million annually to Parsons. This shows a clear philosophy: invest heavily in the position because they believe in the on-field return. Teams like the Steelers already renewed with T.J. Watt for record values at the time. The Browns paid a fortune for Myles Garrett. The reality is that competitive organizations are investing more and more in elite pass rushers. And where does this leave the Broncos? Right in the middle of a decision that could define the defense's future for the next few years. Are they going to follow the league trend and invest heavily, or are they going to try to be conservative and risk losing a talent? Parsons was also selected a few picks after Patrick Surtain II in the 2021 NFL Draft, and many Broncos fans wanted the team to choose Parsons. Imagine if we had both in our defense now. Broncos country, timing is everything in football, and that applies to contract negotiations too. The Parsons bomb happened at a very specific moment of the offseason. We're close to the start of the regular season, which means contract negotiations become more urgent. Teams don't want to deal with distractions during the season. For the Broncos, this creates an interesting window of opportunity. They can try to accelerate talks with Bonitto before other pass rushers sign even bigger contracts, because you can be sure the market won't stop here. Parsons was in the final year of his rookie contract, worth $24.7 million in 2025, which was well below his real value. This situation shows how players can become undervalued when they're stuck in old contracts. Bonitto is in a similar position where his market value probably far exceeded his current salary. The difference is he still has the opportunity to negotiate an extension before reaching free agency. Family, as Broncos fans, how are you feeling about this whole situation? On one hand, it's exciting to see that we have a player who's being valued at the same level as league stars. Bonitto arrived as a draft pick that generated expectations, and now he's proving he can be among the best at the position. On the other hand, there's always that anxiety about losing an important player for financial reasons. We all remember situations where teams let talents slip away because they didn't want to pay the market price. The Broncos are letting the situation around Nick Bonitto unfold, and he had a lot to say about it. This shows that conversations are still happening, which is positive. The Broncos fan base has always been passionate and understands that investments in quality players are necessary to compete at the highest level. The question is the organization willing to make that investment now? Broncos country, let's remember how our organization has dealt with similar situations in the past. The Broncos have always been known for a strong defense. From the Orange Crush days to the Super Bowl 50 championship defense, investing on the defensive side has always been part of the team's identity, but we've also had moments where we let important players leave for contractual reasons. The secret is finding the balance between keeping talents and maintaining financial flexibility to build a complete roster. Bonitto's situation represents exactly this type of strategic decision that can define the franchise's direction. It's an investment that can pay dividends for many years, or it can be a financial that limits other options. Experience shows that elite pass rushers are rare and valuable. Teams that manage to develop or acquire this type of talent usually don't regret investing heavily in the position. Family, let's be realistic about the financial implications of this whole situation. A $25-30 million annual contract for Bonitto would represent a significant slice of the Broncos' salary cap. That means less money available for other positions, but it could also mean a more dominant defense. Salary cap management is a complex art in the NFL. Teams need to balance investments in stars with the need to maintain depth throughout the roster. The decision about Bonitto will impact these considerations for the next few years. But here's the interesting point. Elite pass rushers can have a disproportionate impact on defensive performance. A player who can create constant pressure on the quarterback can elevate the level of the entire defensive unit. If Bonitto continues evolving and becomes one of the best at the position, the investment can pay off through wins, playoffs, and even a Super Bowl run. These are the calculations organizations need to make. Broncos country. An important advantage Bonitto has over Parsons is age and growth potential. At 25 years old, Bonitto is still in the ascending phase of his career. While Parsons is already considered a finished product at 26, our linebacker can still improve significantly in the coming years. This makes the investment potentially more attractive for the Broncos. They wouldn't just be paying for what Bonitto is today, but also for what he can become in the next 4 to 5 years. Bonitto's evolution trajectory has been impressive. Each season he shows improvements in different aspects of the game, from pass rush technique to run defense ability. If the trend continues, the Broncos could be looking at a future All-Pro and maybe even a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. This type of potential justifies bigger investments. Family, the pressure on the Broncos organization increased considerably after the Parsons bomb. Fans, specialized media, and analysts are now watching to see how Denver will respond to this new market reality. The decision about Bonitto will be seen as an indicator of the franchise's ambition and direction, and just the position I'm in from a pre-Week 1 earthquake when Dallas sent All-Pro Micah Parsons to Green Bay for multiple first-round picks. This type of move shows teams are willing to make significant sacrifices for elite pass rushers. If the Broncos can't keep Bonitto, this could be interpreted as lack of competitive ambition. On the other hand, if they pay the price, they demonstrate commitment to defensive excellence. The pressure also comes from within the roster. Other players observe how the organization treats their teammates, especially those performing at a high level. Broncos country. It's always important to have alternatives when it comes to roster building. If the Broncos decide Bonitto's price became prohibitive, they'll need a solid plan B. This could include betting on younger players in the draft or looking for free agency options. The problem is that, with Parsons establishing this new level, all available pass rushers are going to get more expensive. There is no bargain when it comes to quarterback pressure in modern NFL. One possibility would be trying to develop talents internally through the scouting and player development system. But that takes time and offers no success guarantees. Another option would be exploring trades for players in complicated contractual situations on other teams. Sometimes there are interesting opportunities when organizations need to get rid of high salaries. Family, let's follow how this situation can unfold in the coming weeks. With the regular season approaching, there's natural urgency to resolve pending contractual issues. Negotiations during the season are more complicated and can create distractions. The Broncos will probably accelerate talks with Bonitto's representative in the next 2 weeks. They want to avoid the situation dragging on and becoming a distraction. For the team, if there's no agreement by the start of the season, the situation could get complicated. Bonitto will play the final year of his current contract knowing he can test free agency, which creates interesting dynamics. The organization also needs to consider the impact of this uncertainty on the rest of the roster and strategic planning. For the season, Broncos country, we can't ignore how contractual situations affect the team's internal dynamics. Bonitto is a respected player in the locker room and a natural leader of the defense. Uncertainties about his future can create unnecessary tensions within the group. On the other hand, resolving the situation quickly and positively can energize the entire roster. It shows the organization values and rewards high-level performances. Other players also observe how cases like this are treated, especially those who might be in similar situations in the future. The organization's reputation as an employer is at stake. A positive resolution can also attract other free agents in the future, showing that Denver is a place where talented players are valued and adequately compensated. So, Denver Broncos family, what an incredible journey this complete analysis was. Recapping this whole explosive situation, Micah Parsons broke all records with a $47 million annual contract, completely redefined the pass rusher market, and now our Nick Bonitto is in a privileged position to get an extension much more valuable than anyone imagined a few months ago. The Broncos are at an important crossroads. They can invest heavily in a young and rising talent, keeping a fundamental piece of the defense, or they can decide the price got too high and let Bonitto explore his options. Honestly, Broncos country, I believe the organization should make the investment. Bonitto has shown constant evolution, is at the ideal age, and quality pass rushers are too rare to let slip away for financial reasons. But regardless of whatever decision comes, one thing is certain. This Parsons bomb completely changed the fear game for all pass rushers in the league, including our beloved Bonitto. What do you think of this whole situation? Should the Broncos pay whatever price is necessary to keep Bonitto, or is there a limit that shouldn't be crossed? Do you trust the organization's ability to find alternatives, if necessary? Leave your opinions in the comments. I want to know what each member of this family thinks about our defense's future. Hit that like if you enjoyed this complete analysis. Share with other Broncos fans who need to know about this situation, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any news about our beloved team, Broncos country, till the next NFL bomb. And let's hope it's positive for us. Go Broncos!